Welcome back to the news, everybody. I've got some great stories. I mean, did you know that Team Fortress 2 just hit its all-time peak on Steam? And it's because Valve are actually being very smart. That'll be fun to dive into, but we do have other stories as well. An update with Dave the Diver. We've got a game team refunding their Kickstarter 7 years later. In this case, it matters to me because it's actually a game that I own and had a lot of fun with, as well as a bunch of other stories. But let's just get right into the situation with Team Fortress 2. So, it's got its summer 2023 update, and it is a goddamn big update. We have 14 new maps, 25 new items, 6 new taunts, 20 unusual effects, 10 war paints, and a community-created Saxon versus Hale game mode that is like now officially a permanent thing. And actually, all that content was community-made. Right? So this update is, I would say, partially thanks to Valve, but it is Valve being smart, harnessing their community, and of course, still having to do some work, right? Because they obviously had to implement this all into their game with their own effort. They had to ensure compatibility, they had to fix bugs, things like that. Now, there were widespread reports of bugs and issues, especially with launching the Versus Saxon Hale maps. So maybe that needed more time. They also did some minor updates to existing maps, but that's mostly based on issues and fixes that the community have suggested for ages. But basically what this is Valve taking their existing community and being really, really smart about how they are using that. I suppose I wonder, like, they've been able to do this with TF2. Imagine if Bethesda, instead of just throwing everything into the store that's on Skyrim, or, having kind of like, having mods exist, how they are. You do wonder what it would have been like if they actually worked with the community and did something a little bit more crazy. I don't know, I just think that this is a particularly fascinating case. They've also codified, I didn't even know this was a thing, the seal payload as a community thing, and yes, the payload can be a seal going to the water. I fucking love that. Now, what is interesting is this goddamn paid off, because TF2 just hit a new all-time peak player count on Steam. You can see that graph. They shot from, a more like 123,000, and they were really, I mean, it's TF2. It's so sticky, and I know some of that is like skin farming bots and stuff, but still, TF2 doing really solid, but then you see it like surging right up beyond 200k. So this is an old game that is being kept alive. It is being done via these community maps. Now, I'm aware of saying like StarCraft 2, you could get community maps be rotated into a new season. I think for a game like this, though, it's especially strong, and this is absolutely something that more developers should think of, right? And I suppose for Valve here, they put out their dev tools. And because of that, they've now got a free update for their players that has nearly doubled their concurrency. Okay, it won't be sustained at a doubled rate, but still, the peak being that large, I think, matters. Fascinating thing. Next, though, we have a game that sadly did not really get anywhere near those numbers on Steam, and that is Battalion 1944. Now, if you're from a similar niche to me, you might have been quite excited for this game. I played a hell of a lot of Call of Duty 2, PC, LAN, back in the day, at a LAN center, good old, sniper rifles only, or bolt actions only on 2jan, 32-player server, 24-player server, all those 24 people are in the LAN center you're at. It was an absolutely banging time. And the people over at Bulkhead, they absolutely had that experience as well. They were really into pro mod when COD 4 came around. So Battalion 1944 was basically a love letter to the way that I played Call of Duty 2, right? That niche from back in the day. So Battalion 1944 started off on Kickstarter, right? And of course, it's Kickstarter, sometimes things do not pan out, and this is one of those instances, even though the game actually did come out on PC. But basically what happened is that Bulkhead, who are the creators of the game, they are refunding all Kickstarter backers from back in 2016. They're refunding all of them, regardless of platform, no questions asked. And this is following their separation from Square Enix. Specifically, it was a Square Enix Collective, which is their indie publishing label. So they've split from them, and then they were acquired by Splash Damage. And basically, because they've not been able to deliver on the planned console ports of the game, they just aren't, they're just like, fine, take the money back. They said that without that initial Kickstarter support, that Bulkhead wouldn't exist, and they want to thank their backers for believing their project as strongly and passionately as they did. But ultimately, what's happened to them is they just feel that they owe that original Kickstarter audience, right? And what's kind of cool here is that it's actually backed by Splash Damage. Apparently, Splash Damage are actually happy to chip in here and help out with the funding, which is pretty sweet. And, you know, Splash Damage are an interesting bunch. They've actually just announced a 4-day workweek transition in their London office, though there's a caveat there. Game developer are stating that we can't be certain that this, won't come with like a reduction in pay or holidays or anything like that. Generally speaking, the philosophy there is productivity increase, therefore you don't need to cut salary and stuff like that. Anyway, though, it is kind of interesting. We've got the likes of IDOS, Crows, and Kitfox all doing that. I suppose what I'll say is, I think that if you are like true pros and you've really put in, like, you know, you've put in a lot of time, you're really, really skilled, and maybe also you as a human are like maybe in your, you know, a bit more like in your 30s or something, and, you know, you've got your shit together. Not that obviously people who are like my age or younger can't have their shit together, but I think that the 4-day work week, that works well whenever your processes and all of that are like absolutely fantastic as a company. So I think it's more that the ability to do a 4-day work week shows that as a company you've like progressed to like the next level of efficiency. But I think if you pull that trigger too early, you're probably going to shoot yourself in the foot. Anyway, it's an interesting situation, and it's just nice to see a company actually do the right thing when they didn't need to. Next time we got Media Molecule. So Media Molecule, they developed Dreams, and Dreams was really just mind-blowing. It was like basically full-on game development tools, on the PlayStation, right? And with Dreams meaning so much to the people who actually engaged in it, they are really treating the end of active updates for it like very seriously. And most importantly, they're recognizing that the platform would be nothing without the players who are actually making and sharing experiences on it. So they want to make sure that things in the future are in the favor of those players. And the key element of this is a change in their content usage terms. They still cannot have people get their games off the Dreams platform explicitly, but what they are going to do is the next best thing. I think this is really important. Players will have to sign up to these terms when they log in again, and this time they will have to confirm that everything they've made is owned by them, because now players will be able to use whatever they create in Dreams, quote, outside of Dreams for your own personal or commercial projects. And that basically means animations or music or collaborations that you've done with other people within Dreams. You can use that in future work. And this is a really, really nice move to see, especially because, of course, Media Molecule, they're winding down updates for this, but I think they're absolutely making sure that players really feel that they've like been treated pretty damn well. Like they can use Dream stuff for commercial purposes. That's sick. So big thumb up then to Media Molecule. By the way, for the release radar, of course, if you want to know all the games that are coming out in this month, you can check out the video that we did on that. But yes, Netflix and Night School Studios' Oxenfree 2 is out, and it does seem to have landed fairly positively. I think there is a bit of that sort of sophomore slump though, because of course when you're doing the, game 2, it's hard to get the same amount of novelty that the original game had. So you're looking there at like a 78 top critic average, 77% of critics recommending. They've praised the return of the exceptional dialogue that is perfectly replicating ongoing conversations, as well as the subtle horror elements that are more like less overtly super scary, but more like just really unsettling. And despite some pacing and structural issues, generally it being quite liked. Now, there are some other reviews on the other end of the spectrum, but overall you can see that it is a, as OpenCritic says, strong game. Now, there is an element to this that I think makes it more newsworthy though. So, it is under £15. It's absolutely an accessible game in terms of price. However, as long as you have a Netflix account, the barrier to entry to playing this, 1 or 2, is very slight, because all you need to do is launch the Netflix app on your tablet or your phone, and you can just go and play it. Kind of interesting. Next then, on the indie side of things, well, actually, is it an indie? We've got Dave the Diver. So, Dave the Diver has reached 1 million in sales, and of course, what's crazy then is like BattleBit Remasters hit 2 million in sales. So whatever this is about like indie tier games, absolutely hitting like AAA numbers. I'm absolutely here for it. It's awesome. But yeah, that's what's up. They did say that while acknowledging areas of improvement, we have diligently addressed them with invaluable feedback from our engaged community. This indispensable input is undeniably what led to positive reviews internationally. Now, what's interesting here, though, is Mint Rocket are a subsidiary, like a sort of spin-off label of Nexon. Yeah, Nexon! They're quite big. But you actually look at the game itself, and it is evidently an indie. Like, when you're playing it, even there are some things where like, yeah, there's a little bit of indie jank. So it's, I suppose, an indie-scale project, but being made under the umbrella of a far larger company. What I do know is that this game was made by people. Those people are game developers, and they did a fantastic job, so they should be happy. And then finally, I think it's time to tickle your neurons. Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I just said that. Are you thinking about a South Park episode? Because if you are, then it's actually became a real thing. Because the latest from Sanrio Empire and the developer Sunbrink, their latest game is Hello Kitty Island Adventure. It's now a real thing. This is the joke from inside South Park, but actually made real. Of course, from the Make Love Not Warcraft episode. Now, the thing is, it's not like they don't know this, because they released an April Fool's joke in 2008 where the Hello Kitty Online MMO would get an expansion of the same title, so they're in on it. They're in on it. Now, that being said, we're all going to have a laugh about this. I don't really think I'm going to be picking up Hello Kitty Island Adventure, though. Who knows? But anyway, that is it for the end of the news. I suppose let me know, are you one of those, like, I don't know, peak 250,000 people who came back to Team Fortress 2? Because holy shit, that is pretty damn impressive. All right. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you next time.